I'm Ted Gunderson, former head of the FBI in Southern California. BJ Wagner, if you want the full story, you want to know what's going on, watch BJ Wagner.
Welcome to On Second Thought. I am Brianna Moore, co-hosting today. Thank you for joining us where William J. Wagner gives you reason to have second thought.
Come on in, William. Let me show you around. Come on in, William. Let me show you around.
What do you got here, Harry Crouch?
Well, this is the home of the San Diego Men's Center. Our center is totally self-sufficient. We have no revenue from the state, the county, local, or the federal government. And we have no VAWA dollars. Matter of fact, in the state of California, by state law, men are not entitled to receive funds for domestic violence programs. By state law, it's forbidden.
That sounds gender bias, Harry. What is this sign here?
These signs are done by one of our activists. His name is Ray Bloomhurst up in Los Angeles County. Our primary organization is the National Coalition of Free Men Los Angeles, and he makes these signs, and we offer these things at cafeshops.com Men's Biz, so for advocates who want to have advocacy products. We have over 450 products there, about 140 of these signs, and we use them in protests, and I wear the t-shirts to domestic violence council meetings and other meetings around town, as other people do.
That's a very unique poster.
Well, this is pretty critical. These are from national crime statistics and are thought to be an understatement, obviously, because men underreport. That's pretty common knowledge. Aside from which, the same study said 1.435 million women are abused every year, but 250,000 are rape victims. No male rape victims are in those numbers, so you have to kind of factor that out, because male rape victims in prison weren't counted, and many states, over the years, their definition of rape simply was not suitable to include men, was not suitable to include men, was not suitable to include men, was not suitable to include men. So no data was collected. So the numbers offered by the federal government are
skewed.
Well, skewed is not the word. Skewed, I guess that's exactly what they are, but they don't tell you that. You have to figure that out on your own.
Well, let's see your facility here, Harry.
Come on in. Well, this is my control center. This is where I put me every day, and I work on various things. I do individual advocacy, so clients come in. We don't charge them anything. They're welcome to leave a donation. But I'll help them go to court on certain issues, restraining orders, false accusations. We do paternity fraud testing here, so we work with paternity fraud victims, a lot of those. I just had a case yesterday. A young man called me up, and the mother of his child sold the child to an adoption agency without telling him. And so now he's trying to figure out how to get involved with the system so he can at least make a case for having his own child. That's an uphill battle. So follow
A
me.
mother sold the father's child without even telling him.
Sure, happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Women have the right, with respect, men have no rights when it comes to choice. Women have all the rights when it comes to choice.
What do the Democrats and Republicans basically do for men?
Nothing. And it's really interesting. I mean, the Democrats, we can all understand the reason why that happens, because the Democratic Party has basically been taken over by radical feminists. There's really no reason to call it a Democratic Party. They just ought to call it the Feminist Party. The Republicans, on the other hand, we still have an awful lot of traditional family values where the men of the family identify, strangely enough, with the radical feminists when they make arguments about motherhood and children and things like that. So basically what you have is two competing ideologies for totally different reasons, driving for the same end when it comes to issues of parenting.
Now, what are some of your products you have for men that want to protest somehow with a t-shirt?
Here's one of our shirts. This is Shame on the Domestic Violence Movement for Lying.
Wow.
This Ray Bloomhurst did for a protest we had down here a few months ago, and everybody was wearing this shirt. This is the one for our paternityfrauddna.com. Notice the gentleman with the empty pockets.
Yes.
It's Who's Your Father? and then paternity fraud is domestic violence and child abuse. There's no question about that. Parental alienation, paternity fraud, and false accusations are all by definition forms of domestic violence. Courts will not prosecute any woman and sanction them in any meaningful way for committing any of those three crimes. They won't do it. I've been actually told by high-ranking individuals from district attorney's office that the reason that happens is because they're afraid of the feminist backlash. Period. There's just no reason not to believe that.
What is this? It starts with patriarchy's #1 privilege. What is it? What does this mean?
Well, this is another one of our signs, and as most people know in this business, patriarchy was one of the theoretical tenets of the radical feminist movement. They basically blame everything on patriarchy. Yet when you really examine the issue, look at our combat deaths. Almost 100% are all men. All work-related deaths and injuries, by the way, at least 94% are men. Women don't take high-risk occupations. Homicides, men kill themselves 76% of the time, or murder each other, or become victims. With respect to suicide, that's the most interesting, even the ones on the bottom. Throughout the westernized world, men commit suicide with four times greater frequency than do women. More interesting is when relationships end, the rate goes up to 10 to 12 times. There's actually a province in Australia where by law, men cannot be victims of domestic violence. In that province, the #1 killer of men is suicide. Now, if anybody wants to make the case there's no direct relationship, they have to be a total idiot. But all the money seems to be spent on preventing violence against women, whereas men are the majority of the death victims, and also no less than 50% of all DV victims as well. Over 200 studies from westernized countries show that clearly.
So you've got mugs, you've got other products here for men, you got brochures.
Yes, and these brochures are from an organization called SAFE, Stop Abuse for Everyone, and they produce these. These are wonderful brochures. They're based out of Tualatin, Oregon. This is for the male victim of domestic violence. So I try to distribute as many of those as I possibly can.
Now this little doll, the Osborne doll.
Oh, that's Ozzy Osbourne. I just thought that that kind of typifies what a lot of guys I see that walk in here look like when I start working with them.
They have that sort of legal abuse syndrome look.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah, so you got the famous picture of the men sort of hanging out for lunch at a high risk.
I take that to every conference we do, and I display it prominently because
there are no women hanging out there on that I-beam.
And it ties in with this sign as well with respect to work-related deaths, but you see these guys sitting up on this I-beam high above New York City in the early 20th century. And I think what it depicts is not only the risks the men took for their families, to support their families, but that men build America, literally. I mean, I'm talking literally in terms of buildings and streets and sewers. And so everything we enjoy that, most things that we enjoy in the physical environment of our towns, our urban areas, rural areas, primarily were constructed by the sweat and labor and injury and deaths of men.
Got it. You got some mugs here too.
Yeah, these are
legalized choice for.
This is legalized choice for men, since we have none.
I got it.
It's one of our many cups. This was the idea of one of our National Coalition of Free Men members. Just say no to female chauvinism, which is a wonderful, wonderful cup. This one's kind of hard to see, but it has an awful lot of things on there. One thing, if you can get this, I'm not sure you can see it. I thought this was really interesting. Notice where it says Women's Studies, and if you take a look at the words really closely, you'll find the letters also spelled Men Die.
Yes, got it.
Which I think is an incredible.
Incredible.
App.
So you've got all this facility down here. You got voter forms so men can register to vote.